Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup, though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup, though.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to PSGL PSF1 Season 34, round number 2, as we head to the Bahrain International Circuit in Turkey for the Bahrain Grand Prix. We were at Brazil last week, a whole different continent, and now we go to the Middle East in Bahrain for what's set to be a very good race. We last held the social race here a couple of weeks ago. It'll be interesting to see if they made progression in this game. My name is Jess Ball, and joining me, as always, to my right, is Mr. James Head. James, how you doing?
I am doing very, very well, Jess. Hope you're doing well as well, fresh from your Formula Student commentary in real life at Silverstone over the weekend. It's going to be an interesting one tonight. There's a lot to get through, especially in terms of Steward reports as well, but can't wait to get started once again.
Yes, and we're going to have to go through it for you because so much has changed. I think a lot of drivers have either been moved up or moved down a position because of this. It was originally Markados that took the win, but in the final results, he didn't do it. James, can you explain more?
He didn't, and it's because we suggested it in commentary as well, and that's because he picked up a 5-place time penalty for that incident, for that move off track, of course, in terms of the incident, and I'm just trying to find it because there's so many incidents to go through here tonight. It was that incident, of course, on lap 33, I think it was. I'm just trying to find it. I'm reading my notes desperately here on the right-hand side to try and find it. Anyway, he did get a 5-second penalty for, of course, that incident on lap 33. I think it was forcing off Mubarak off track, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of those incidents where I think from his perspective, he could have done a lot more to avoid it. There could have been a lot more avoidance, but that 5-second penalty did get it on.
It was Max.
To his time.
It was
Max. It was Max.
Yes, it was Max's and Markados coming together, and also 2 licence points added to Markados as well as a 5-second penalty. And the reason was dangerous driving. Markados moved back towards the outside of the track on turn 4, entry after defending in position. However, he failed to leave sufficient room to Max in doing so and crowding him off the track. And then we've got a quali ban for Volakongan because he was impeding Ryan, and it kind of looked obvious on the stream. An incident involving Marlon and Jensen. 2 licence points to Jensen and 5 seconds added to his final race time, causing a collision on lap 5, turn 8. We've got something about Nando and Yorzi to talk about in a minute, which I'm sure James will briefly explain why in a minute. Brothers and Wiener got a lag warning for poor internet connection. 2 licence points and 5 seconds added to their final race time for Jerry Van Bussel for causing a collision with Luca Car on lap 8, turn 2. Jay Van Bussel and Marlon, it's still going on by the way, it's not over. Lap 31, turn 10, 10-second time penalty for Marlon and 3 licence points for despite moving towards the inside of the track into turn 10, Marlon didn't close the door fully and Jerry Van Bussel went for the gap, and Marlon didn't stick to the line he chose entering the braking zone, and then he made contact with Jerry Van Bussel. And it was a quite severe penalty as well. Sam Gamer got a warning and a licence point added for causing a collision with Jay Van Bussel. Stefano Casidel's decision, no further action on lap 28. Morborak got a 5-second time penalty added to his race time, driving unnecessarily slowly in order to prevent a safety car from getting back into the pits. Jay Van Bussel and Wiener, lap 35, turn 8 incident, no further action. Jerome and OP Ryan, lap 12 and lap 2 for dangerous driving. 1 licence point to OP Ryan, forcing another driver off track, and 3 seconds added to the race time. Morborak and Max, 3 licence points to Max and 10 seconds. That's another severity incident. Morborak was getting close to the back of Max, who himself was getting closer and closer to the car ahead of him. Not wanting to overtake him, he slowed down. Morborak thus moved to the inside of the track, eyeing for the move up the inside. Max was willing to defend the position, however, he failed to realise how close he was. Oh, there's still more, Jesus Christ. Rider down Marlon, 1 licence point and 3 seconds added to their final race time, recording a collision. And then lap 35, turn 4 between Jay Van Bussel and Wiener. 5-second time penalties added to Jay Van Bussel, added to their final race time. And that promotes Cazidle up to 2nd. That promotes Wiener up to 3rd. That promotes Black Box up to 4th. Markados down to 5th. Rided out up to 6th. Jensen from 4th to 7th. Volakongan, who was outside the points, he got in the points. Ryan from 7th to 9th. And Van Bussel from 6th to 10th. But we got an appeal from one of the incidents, which, that's why we didn't talk about it. We got an appeal which was deemed successful.
It was indeed, and that was Yossi and Nando, and thank goodness you managed to get through all of them incidents. We've got another one, of course, with that appeal vote. It was the Yossi-Nando incident, which Jess referenced there a little bit earlier on. The steward revealed the appeal request. The appeal was deemed admissible, i.e. was valid, as a mistake was highlighted from the initial finding, and the incident was therefore reviewed again. And this was because Nando, responsible for crashing into Yossi due to him not being any sort of evasive action, it appears the consequences of Yossi's own mistake may have been taken into consideration, and looking wide by running wide into the side of the car, spinning himself on the off Yossi, caused several other cars to get involved. We therefore decided to impose a new penalty, and that was 2 licence points for Yossi and a 5-second time penalty to serve on the next event, i.e. tonight, because he is racing tonight, I believe, is Yossi. And thank goodness we've got through all of that, because we better get cars out on track, Jess.
We are, and pretty much we were going to go through the driver standings, but there's no point because the driver standings is the order that you see on the results, but we'll show you that anyway. Bradder's taking the win then after Marco's 5-second penalty, and well deserved, but he even almost got the win on track. So great to see on his first PSGL F1 outing, he got the win, which was great to see. But what does that do for the Constructors' Championship? I did have it open, but I had the wrong thing. Oh, there we go. I've got it open now on my screen. So we've got Alfa Romeo leading, joint leaders with Alpine as well. I think Alpine will be leading on countback anyway. Hassan third on 12, AlphaTauri 4th on 8, Mercedes 5th on 6, McLaren 6th on 5, Ferrari 7th on 4, and then Red Bull, Aston Martin and Williams yet to score. It's now time, finally, for some race action. A bit of a delay whilst we tried to get the lobby sorted, but thank you to all the PSGL F1 guys and for everyone else for sticking with us. But Bahrain, first year of Formula 1 in 2004, 5.412 kilometres, 3.362 miles. It has 15 corners and it has 3 DRS zones. 1 at the start-finish straight, 1 heading towards turn 4 and 1 heading towards turn 10 and turn 11. And I'm very excited for this one. We got a full lobby. We got 3 reserves as well. We got Tom, who's filling in for Kazizzle, who's not here tonight. We've also got Jerome, who's filling in for Aurelian tonight. And I'm just trying to think who else we've got reserving tonight. I was talking about it when we went off, before we got on stream, but I completely forgot. But we got a full grid anyway. What is so great about this track, James?
It is tight, it is twisting, it is really well-natured, I think, in terms of overtaking as well. There are plenty of DRS zones, as you mentioned. Mubarak, by the way, the first man out on track into the left-hander turn number 2. One of the 7 drivers that picked up a penalty last week. He's on the run towards turn number 3, so we'll see what Mubarak obviously can do in terms of that. But it is such a tight-natured track, I think, in terms of the racing. And it's also very, very hard on the eye as well. You look from the start-finish straight all the way down in towards turn number 1. The glare that you see on your screen, honestly, it is off-putting for you guys as the viewers. It's off-putting for us as the commentators. So I don't know how we're going to cope with this. Mubarak, though, was looking very good, I've got to say, in towards my favourite section on the track, turns 9 and 10. Bit of re-locking actually going into midpoint of the corner. Now through turn number 10, opening up that second DRS zone. The third one being, of course, down the start-finish straight once again. Alpine getting out of the way to the left-hand side as now Mubarak comes through the left-hander to turn number 11, and then in towards what I've dubbed an hour note as car killer corner at turn number 12. Right, that inside curve, you might end up spinning. Luckily, though, Mubarak took so much curve there, he didn't actually touch a twig on that curve, so now comes through the right hand of turn 13 and then down the straight once again into turns 14 and 15, of course. First built in 2002, this track, Herman Tilke design track here in Bahrain. Now coming through the right-handers are 14 and 15 on the run to the line. Barely see the finish line with that glare, but Mubarak on the run to the line. 27.9 to start off the night, and that's already a 10th quicker than the first lap set in PSF2.
Yeah, that is really good to see so far. We got the track temperature 27 degrees, currently air temperature 22 degrees as Kian comes across the line in first place with 127.7. I believe he wasn't here last week due to him being on holiday. Hope he's back, refreshed, ready for some PSGL F1 action. Looking to be one of the favourites so far, and that's a very impressive lap time from him. We got one of the AlphaTauris who's heading up towards the line. That was Black Box, who was a driver that benefited from all those time penalties. Let's hope we could keep it clean today and have less penalties for the stewards to deal with, but Black Box goes in third place anyway. This was a track, by the way, where Kimi Räikkönen made a historic comeback from having a suspension problem. That was in 2006. He's qualifying to finish third and to be the lowest grid setter to finish on the podium at the Bahrain Grand Prix. So it's not over for anyone as Jerry Van Bassel comes across the line in P4. The main strategy I think we've seen in many divisions in PSGL and in other leagues is mainly the hard to medium, and it can last really optimum pace to around lap 12, 13, and that's where they can come in. But will we potentially see someone say, you know what, if I qualify low down, could we see them on a set of softs?
We definitely could. I mean, the social race, I was having a look back at the Lobby 2 social race a little bit earlier on, and the strategy seemed to be set us off compound tyres below the top 10. So I would say around 13th, 14th, maybe downwards could up to go set us off compound tyres. In our tyre notes, we've got a 10-lap lifespan on that set us off, 7 laps optimal being on those tyres. So they really do wear quick, which is why you're going to see, I think, majority drivers on a set of mediums and on a set of hards at the start of the race. They're more optimal. You can take them beyond the halfway stage. Unlike Kazizel, who pitted lap 12, I believe, in season 33 last season. I remember that very vividly, the saying he pitted in early. And I believe he went on to finish in the top 5 that day as well, behind the likes of Kean, Harry and Tom, who were part of the top 3. And speaking of Tom, race winner, of course, here last season. Season 5, absolutely butchers the left-hander of turn number 9 and 10. Unfortunately, he's having high revving and very much issues on his laps. He's then in 20th position at this stage. The first lap's pretty much done, though. Kean out on top, Mark Dawson second, Nando there in third. Pascal Goldendorp there in the chat. I believe that might be the father of Kean Goldendorp, who is P1 at the minute. Good evening to you. Hope you're doing well and hope you're well rested after that holiday, as Volakongan has retired, and I believe that he is the only man in the grid. I certainly put it on my notes. I believe he's got a qualifying ban tonight as a result of impeding in qualifying.
Yes, he does. That was the penalty that he got. That's why he's going to be starting near the back. But Volakongan started from near the back before around these type of tracks and still finishes quite well. So I think expect to see good things tonight from Volakongan. Tom has not set a valid lap time, by the way. Neither has Jeroen and Ryan. So we'll see what they could do. And then just a little bit later on, Nando came across the line in third place. So one of the drivers to be benefited from the appeals as well that we were talking about earlier with Yossi. And I have to say, turns 9 and 10, that's going to be really tricky with lockups. It's been a huge feature on previous games. To be fair, it's gone a lot easier in the last few games, F1 22 and F1 23. But before that, braking while you're turning, it's just so difficult, and especially since this tier has no assist at all. It has no ABS, no traction control at all. It's going to be even harder, and we're watching Marlon at the moment heading towards turn number 4. Even though it's quite medium-level braking zone, it's quite hard to place your car there as well, and in the run-up to 5 and 7, if you place your car on there, that's going to cause some huge issues with 10 minutes to go in qualifying. Let us know what your predictions is for pole position. We'll possibly maybe get a pole in the chat. We've got variety drivers on the outlaps at the moment. We've got a few thoughts to talk about as well. And we've had some interesting feedback from some of the drivers. Markados wants to get as many points as possible tonight with his teammate. And Constructors' Championship, their main goal. But I'm surprised they haven't really thought about the Drivers' Championship. But Jay Van Bussel, who is he on track at the moment? Yes, he is. He's got a bit of more of an open mind about tonight and this championship, which I think it's a good thing to have, because if you have an open mind, then if you get bad things happen to you or finish lower than you expected, then at least it gives you motivation to improve.
Yeah, definitely so, and I think it's just taken the situation how it is as well from Jerry. He was, of course, race winner in F2 last season around team as well. I covered that race, and I believe it was the second out of the famous 5 that he did last season as well. After the Austrian Grand Prix, which was round 4, and then Bahrain, of course, being round 5. He is out there on and out lap at the minute. He's taking very much high revs, so I'm guessing he's got a very high fuel load in that car, trying and get rid of that as much as possible, try and get low fuel load to try and go for his lap. But yeah, he was saying a good track, a lot of fun. Let's see where he ends up. I think he is going to be one of the first to start up on a lap. I believe Jeroen actually is the first man to start up on a lap. Thank you, Codemasters, by the way, for fixing the outlap glitch that we've had on the spectate mode. I've only just realised that on F2 and F1 here tonight. So Jeroen on the run up towards turn number 4 with that glare again, really, really driving my eyes insane. I'm not sure about you, Jess.
Yeah,
towards turn number 4, but Jeroen looking pretty good. And of course, Jeroen, in terms of his thoughts, he was thinking he hopes to get a clean race in some point. I won't repeat what he actually said in the first part of his message towards me, and he said he was super unlucky in Brazil and didn't get to show the pace that he had. Let's see if he does show the pace he's got. 19th place, no lap on the board so far. Through the left-hander now of turns 9 and 10. We'll see what the Dutchman can do. The FER man, of course, coming now out in the AlphaTauri in toward the left-hander of turn number 11, down the old GP2 pit straight. Match up there in the chat saying, Vella's keen in the building, and Dirk, I should say, are you family of him? I believe he is, and Jamal Marcados in the chat. I wonder if that's actually Marcados or if that might be his brother. As your own 106.2, purple in the middle sector. Not sure how that's looking in terms of keying. I can certainly say it's quicker than Mubarak's middle sector, so he's going to look to try and go in toward the top 3 here, and he has got pace around this track before. He's very consistent in League of Europe in the past as well. Giron now comes through the right-hand return, number 15, on the run toward the line. Should put it up there, I think. Giron on the run to the line, and he does. He goes fourth and ahead of Mubarak by 9 thousandths of a second.
Kian has set the fastest first sector out of anybody at 28.333 as he heads towards turn 9 and 10 now, the heavy braking zone. He looks so committed going through there as well. He means business in this championship. He hasn't scored any points because obviously he wasn't here last week. So again, he just wants to score as many points as he possibly can tonight. And he was in Parnell racing for a bit. Oh, he invalidated his lap. He invalidated his lap on the exit of 11 just by going wide ever so slightly. It costed him ever so dearly, which is a huge shame. We've got Yossi, who's coming up towards the final corner now. Well, there are final 2 corners, but I usually like to treat it as 1 corner. He goes up to the line. What's it going to be? A 127.737. He goes fastest out of anyone so far. Let's see if anyone can beat that. We got a Haas who's going towards the final corner. That is Lars, who is reserving tonight at 127.683. It is really close between all these drivers on the grid. As I think Jay Van Bussel came across the line earlier in 4th. Bradders in 5th. Marcados, who provisionally won the race last week, comes across the line in 1st. I think he was expecting a penalty after his incident with Max last week. So I think he knows he's got to improve on this driving in order to get the win on track and keep it.
Definitely so, and I think this is what you call retribution early on. I think from last week, we knew in commentary last week, and we said it on commentary, that he was going to pick up that 5-place grid penalty, the 5-second penalty. He did indeed, but this is how you now work back. This is how you work back from last week and get into that frame of mind. He has got the pace. He proved that last week. He took the win, of course, last week, out on track, albeit a little bit unfairly with that incident. With that 5-second penalty applied, ended up in 5th. But this so far is looking very good, I've got to say, for Marcados. And I've got to say, he is a changed man. From PSGL F3 a couple of seasons ago, he is a real changed man. Absolutely drove himself up through the tiers in PSGL last season on F1 22. Now on F1 23. Seems like he's got the world at his feet. He's got the oysters literally all there in front of him. Let's see if he can try and now counteract that. And it's good, nearly a 10th of a second actually between Marcados and Lars there in second. Lars, for reserve, actually not doing too bad, I've got to be honest, there in second. Yossi there in third. He's coming back into the pit lane. The shock early on, I think, in this qualifying session, of course, we have got an 18 minutes worth of qualifying, not the Q1 as it's shown there at the top left-hand side of your screen. Stefano down in 18th position, 28 flat on him. Louis, Ryan, Mubarak, the OP guys right down the bottom end of the field, they're going to be improving so far. But Marcados to Mubarak, top 15, covered by, 3.5 tenths of a second. Just underneath that, I think, just comes to show the consistency and the talent that we've got in F1 this season.
And I have to say, Mubarak was a surprise I've seen in qualifying so far, but not even making it near the top, because the first race that we had in Brazil, he was near the top in qualifying and he got a very good race before he was very, very unlucky in Brazil. So he likes his qualifying and he likes his race pace as well, but he's not showing it currently at the moment. And for the first time in a while, we're just going to get a pit lane here in PSGL PSF1, which gives me a great opportunity to plug our sponsors, as Marcados has retired from the session. So he seems pretty comfortable that he thinks that no one's going to beat his time. That is very brave for Marcados.
It's, dare I say it, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I think it's a little bit cocky, potentially, for Marcados to qualify basically a 10th of a second out of Lars. What about if Lars or Yossi improves? What about I know the benefit of slipstream obviously is not going to happen because that's banned here in PSGL, but if that was the case, these guys would be improving 10, 2, 3, 4 tenths of a second at least. So Marcados, I think, maybe retiring early just comes to show, does he have the faith in the guys behind him, or does he think that there's going to be plenty of invalidations? In my history around commentating around this track, it's normally the latter. There's normally quite a lot of invalidations on the final runs. Looking through the chat there as well, me saying, Ethan, my boy, in the chat. There's a lot of conversation going on in Dutch, I think that is, in the chat as well.
Nice.
Me's also saying, Axelinho the Goat, how are you, bro? And Axelinho also saying, me to my man, good evening. Not even recognising us, the commentary team. It's terrible, I think, behaviour. But at least we haven't got Alex the G with the puns like we had last week. He's commentating, I believe, on PSF7 now.
Yeah, he is. Because one of the commentators couldn't make it. Alex was like, you know what, I'll do it. And he's doing it. So good luck, Alex, by the way. Shame we won't get to hear puns in the chat, but you might put it in the comment section. Oh, God, I've given him ideas now. I've given him ideas now, but he'll probably pick us the puns next week. Anyway, calm before the storm here at PSGL PSF1. Hopefully we won't have much impeding like last week. Okay, get your predictions in. Who's going to take pole? Who's going to be... Max, 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. Now, since it's not under AI control, I think it's a glitch. If it's a glitch, it will have to be reported by Max, and then one of the stewards who is live will look at it, I think, and then the lobby will restart, or it will be up to the tier coordinator's discretion. I hope we don't get a lobby restart, because we had so much chaos trying to get the lobby started in the first place. But there we go, it happens. Shame for Max, but he's going to get a lap done anyway. Jerry Van Bussel is going on a run first of all. His time to beat, well, 28.4 was his last sector one time, and he wasn't even personal best in that sector earlier. So he's got a lot of time left in that car as we head towards turn number 4, past the DRS zone as well. The corner where we saw Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen fight to the death back in 2021. And a 28.451 again. So consistent, but he's 8,000 of a second slower than his previous best. Not matching the likes of, obviously, Lars and Yossi. I didn't see what Marcos' best time was as well, but obviously he is out of the session. Jay Babas heading towards turn number 10. Who else is currently improving? We'll have a look. I think we've got one of the Alpines on a lap, unless they'll be on an out lap. But look at how Jay Van Bussel is taking that car. It's amazing. Heading past turn 11 and 12. And Lel Bell saying it's going to be close. Yes, it is going to be close. By the way, 1:27.5 is the pole time. And it's separated by less than 5/10 of a second between the top 18. And don't forget, Volakongan has got a quali ban. Van Bussel goes up to the final 2 corners then on the power. Heading towards 8th gear, DRS zone. Oh, and he's going in the pits. He's backed off. He's had enough.
Yeah, and there was an Alfa Romeo actually spun out the final corner. No hazard to guess who that might have been. It's actually not Tom. It's the other Alfa Romeo, Jensen, who's back in the pits. Tom to the line, goes 7. Big lap time there from him on his only first run, 27.8. Bradders, however, is 2 tenths up out of the first sector, 28.3 in the first sector. Kean 2.5 tenths down out of the middle. Yossi's invalidated. Lars is not improving in the first sector, so it might be Bradders in the Alpine, the man to watch out for. Of course, the only man, apart from Masacom, of course, qualifying for the Pro Exhibition. Bradders there in 7th, championship leader after Marcados. I'm going to see Lars through the middle sector here as well, as Nando goes quickest. Nando getting his full complement of Nandos and full complement of sauces out on top for Marcados in 2nd, Lars there in 3rd. Bradders, though, Lars down in the first sector, and Bradders is actually down in the middle. So 500s down in the middle sector from the Alpine. Running out wide, coming through 13 and 14, and now in towards 14 and 15 even. It's Nando from Marcados from Lars. Marcados felt the need to retire. He is on the front row of the grid as Bradders needing to lose the control out of the final corner. That is it for him. He's back in the pit lane. I believe that's the end of qualifying. Ryan set his lap a little bit earlier on. Stefano to the line. He improves up to 15th in the end, and only, 7,000th of a second off Tim. So close at the end, but it's Nando out on top. It's Marcados in 2nd, and Lars there in 3rd. Marcados, I think, fortunate that many drivers didn't improve towards the top end of the field there. He starts on the front row of the grid alongside the OP man of Nando.
Well, that is the case at PSGL PSF1. Most tracks, most people mainly improve in their middle runs. It's about getting that middle one right. Imagine what Marcados would have done, but maybe he wanted to save some tyres from the race. Will that be a clue as to what tyre he starts on or uses? 69,000 separating the top two currently in qualifying. And with Nando getting his first pole position of the season, can he convert it to a win? Well, we got his expectations here. Only 20 seconds race for him in Brazil last week, which is a bit of a shame for him. But Bahrain's one of his worst tracks. He wants to do his best as usual to get a strong result. Well, I could safely say it is not one of his worst tracks here because he got pole position. But anyway, we got Nando, Marcados, Lars, Yossi, Kian Morbarak, Jay Van Bussel, Marlon, Bradders, Tom your top 10. And we got Ryder down, Max down there in 12th. Our reigning champion not doing too good in PSGL F1 currently. And we got Jensen, Tim, Stefano, Black Box, Ryan, Jerome, your top 18. And Louis, 19th, your final lap setter. And Volakongan, of course, with that quali ban. But before we go, let's have a quick word from our title sponsor, GT Omega. There we go, and I don't know why my mic was on mute there. I do apologise, but yeah, we do have a lobby restart for all the drivers, mainly due to Max's illegal blocking, which wasn't illegal blocking, it was a glitch in the game, which means you get to hear us waffle for 5-10 minutes. But fingers crossed we can get the lobby sorted. But Nando, his first pole position, he said it's one of his first tracks. He doesn't know what his expectations are going to be. He just wants to get points around there, but I think he's going to set his expectations high after that pole position now.
He does, but then again, it's Bahrain, and I don't think you want to set yourself a little bit too high. You've got to take, I think, the Jerry Van Bussel approach. We mentioned earlier on, he wasn't really expecting anything coming into tonight, and I think that's going to be the case. I think that is hopefully going to be the case where, I think, where Nando's case is, of course, only 20 seconds in the race, DNF'd very early on in Brazil, didn't really have a race, so he's going to really chomping at the bit, I think, in terms of pole position. Marcados, of course, alongside him. In the end, I think that cockiness really came out of him. He realised that people were going to improve, and I think it was a bit of a bit of a head in hands moment, to be honest, if you were Marcados, and he was there, second position, still on the front row of the grid. It is going to be very, very well received. I believe we can now join the lobby, so I'm just going to do that very quickly and turn away from the camera while I do that. But it is going to be very, very interesting indeed in terms of the racing. We hope to get started very, very soon indeed. I will turn on my light as well, because I know it is very, very dark now in the room in the northeast of England here. So I will turn on my light in just a second so you can all see me very nicely. But we are having that restart. And looking at the chat as well, Axelino saying good evening to the lovely commentators Jess and James. Thank you so much, Axelino. Hope you're doing very, very well. And Dirk asking in the chat to me, what are the odds on Yossi getting involved in a crash? Hopefully odds are very low for anybody. Yeah, hopefully the odds are low for everybody to get involved in a crash, and hopefully that doesn't happen. Judging by the 16 incidents that we had last week in Brazil, we don't want to repeat.
Yeah, we do not want a repeat of that, because I didn't want to be one of the stewards, to be honest, but there we go. But we've had some good moments, didn't we, in Brazil in the past? Obviously, 2004 was the inaugural Bahrain Grand Prix, where we saw Michael Schumacher won the race, giving a Ferrari a 1-2. Rubens Barrichello finished second. Interesting fact, actually, the grandstand wasn't even completed, and the track wasn't fully ready at the time, so that proved it interesting for the drivers. It was not a night race either, it was hauled in at the daytime. First night race was back in 2014. That's where we saw the Lewis Hamilton-Nico Rosberg duel, but it was pretty much one of the most best battles to ever grace the hybrid era, and I have to say I agree with that. But I also saw a terrifying moment. Esteban Gutierrez's Sauber had a contact with Pastor Maldonado, turn 1, safety car being deployed. Gutierrez luckily had no injuries, And in 2020, we obviously saw Romain Grosjean's crash. We don't want to talk about it too much, but luckily Romain Grosjean is okay. He's actually competing in IndyCar now. Sadly, I am a Romain Grosjean fan, and he's not doing too well in IndyCar this year. Last year he done a lot better, but yeah, some interesting moments as well. Fernando Alonso especially done well in 2010 with the biggest winning margin at the Bahrain Grand Prix. 16 seconds it was.
It was, and Verstappen got close. I think it was about 12 seconds, if I'm not mistaken, the gap between himself and Perez 1-2 this season. And did you know, a bit of a fun fact, when I was doing all of these deep dives and the records and everything that you're hearing now on the stream, did you know Pedro de la Rosa's lap record, he wasn't actually meant to race. It was Juan Pablo Montoya that was meant to race. He picked up, I believe, a shoulder injury in 2005, kept him out of the race in Bahrain, I think kept him out of the Chinese Grand Prix as well. Pedro came in round 3, it was, I think, Bahrain, and actually set the fastest lap record, which is still held to this day. And I believe on that, because I believe we are about to get started.
By the way, that was probably one of the most quickest lobby restarts I have ever seen. So thank you to Jensen. I think Jensen got his lobby sorted out, or unless he was the one who sent invites. So thanks to Jensen and Borat for helping to sort the lobby out very quickly. Jensen sorted out the grid quickly as well. We will run through the grid as well, because I know some of you may have forgotten since then as well. But there's a quick info about the Bahrain Grand Prix. Softs last 10 laps, mediums 14, hards 18. But are they optimal? No, the optimal time for the softs, lap 7. So unless you're starting at the back, if I were you, do not use the softs. It's not going to be ideal. And for these lobby restarts, remember, let's hope these drivers don't use default setup, and remember to put a setup on.
Let's hope so. We don't know when this lobby's going to be started either, so it could be starting right now, it could be starting in, 40 seconds. I thought there was rain potentially on the circuit there. I think it's just the haze coming off the floodlights on my screen.
Yeah, I
it's
see that.
To say in my room. But it's like a pixelated, sort of haze coming off the lights. It's very, very strange. It almost looks like it is raining. I trust you, it is not. There's only about a 1% chance of rain here in Bahrain of race. It is dynamic weather as well. It's set to midnight, so the likelihood is very, very low for the rain. I believe the drivers are beginning to get ready up, I believe. Dirk saying as well, a bit unfair that Marco saves a set of softs and now everyone gets that set. Yeah, everyone's going to be on fresh tyres because of this lobby restart. That is a thing as well, and we will start at 39, Jensen has said. So we are starting in roughly about 2 or 3 minutes time, about a minute according to my laptop. Hopefully everyone caught that. I believe my mic might have just lagged there slightly, but we are about to get going here in Bahrain in about a minute's time. So get your predictions in the chat. Fabian already in the chat saying, Max P1, Keen P2, your own P3. I will hang on a bet to put P1 and P2 there for Max and Keen. I think they'll be P1 and P2. P3, I don't know. I think Markadol's potentially could be a P3 and try and get a little bit of retribution from last week.
I think Markados is going to potentially go on a win because he just missed out, and the run to turn 1, Markados is on the better side of the track, so he could potentially cut off Nando into P1, and Markados is much faster usually. Imagine what the lap time would have been if Markados would have set that final run. So yeah, I'm predicting Markados for the win, but let us know your prediction in chat. And finally, before we get on to the race, huge shout out to our sponsor GT Omega, and you can get 5% off all GT Omega products by using the code PSGL. And we just pointed at our chairs, looking lovely, very comfy. Make sure you check it out. They have nice cockpits as well. And the GT Omega came in handy for Max last year, who won some GT Omega products there. So we're about to get underway. It is 20:39 on my screen. So what does that mean? We are about to get started. No formation up, no countdown. But here we go then. The 5 red lights are on. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we are go. Good start from Nando heading towards turn number 1. Good start from Lars as well. To the right-hand side of our screen as they made their way through the first part of the circuit. Nando is on fire. Lars is on fire. But Markados trying to get the switch back, but to no avail. So far, they all make through turn 2 and turn 3, okay? Look at Kian trying to send it up the right-hand side, heading towards turn number 4. We're seeing the Alpine trying to make some moves as well. Kean, they're going to be 3 wide heading towards turn number 5. It's hard to make a move there, but they're doing it with ease at the moment. Kean up into second place. Lars dropped down to third. Yossi trying to go up the inside. We got one of the Aston Martin or Borat game positions as well. Wow, I have to say, in comparison last week, they're still setting it in, out and everywhere, and they're keeping it clean. Well done, everyone.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. There was a McLaren wide out of turn number 1. I think it was Rotterdam in the background. Luckily, he's there in 11th position still, but Nando leading the way. Keenan second, Lars there in third. Marlon now side by side with Tom. Tom's already up into 8th position, by the way. Fantastic start from him. Louis Valentin is up on a set of soft compound tyres. He's in 16th position. Plenty of positions gained early on throughout the field. Big loser, though. Bradders down in P12. Already noticeable. I think he might have got caught in a bit of contact coming out of turn number 8, where, of course, Stroll famously hung like a cow in 2020 in the Sakhir Grand Prix. Jerry Van Bussel on the back of Mubarak as I'm on board with him, the Ferrari on the back there of the Aston Martin. Still, as they come through the final corner onto the end of the first lap, Nando leads the way, Keenan second, Lars there in third. Now, everyone in the big gold DRS train, and Jerry's on the back of Mubarak, trying to close on the pad going in towards turn 1, and Mubarak actually goes for the move on Yossi in towards turn 1, tries to force the inside line, might get the switch back actually. Jerry Van Bussel posted 3 wide on the exit of turn number 1, just about comes that off, and Mubarak can't fight the way through on Yossi. Yossi's going to make that Alpine look as wide as possible up the hill towards turn number 4. Mubarak, that was a warning shot from the Aston Martin. Louis Valentin, however, carving his way through the field. He's going around the outside of Bradders in the background of shot. Here he comes now through the S section, and he's ahead going into the S section through 5, 6, and 7. Louis Valentin already up to 12 as Mubarak gets a little bit caught on the curb and now is swamped on either side by Tom and Jerry Van Bussel through turn 8.
Tom is already up into 7th, Mubarak to 8th, and I have to say, someone will be very brave if they went on the softs, and Louis is definitely doing that, and he's done a great job as Max sending in the move of dreams currently, as Jerry Van Bussel is like, no, Tom, you're not going to get past me, sunshine, as he covers off him in towards turn number 10 then, as we got Marlon right on the back of him as well. I have to say, this is the track that a lot of people like, and I think I can tell these drivers putting a lot of practice in. So a lot of these guys did the social race, either Lobby 1 or Lobby 2. So I'm not surprised that the racing is this good. Bahrain is always good in league racing. He's always produced amazing stuff in PSGL.
Oh
Remember when it was Bahrain Short as well? We had a Bahrain Short race, but look, I'm gutted that it's not in the game anymore, as Louis gets past another driver up into 11th. I thought I saw someone go in the pit. Mubarak's got damage, so what has happened there? But we'll scrap that at the moment, as we got some battles happening left, right and centre at the front.
Oh my god. Bradders down the inside line as well and Rotterdam through the mid-pack of the field. That's a beautiful move to the inside line. So late on the brakes. Rotterdam did not see that coming from Bradders. And Bradders Looney's in for 11, making up good ground. Mubarak, I believe, is in for a set of hard compound tyres. I think it was left side end plate damage on the car, if I'm not mistaken. After that bit of contact, may have got caught potentially in that 3-wide moment with Jerry Van Bussel and Tom. So that might get investigated by the stewards. Mubarak does want to report that. However, 3-1 through the S section does not really go, so somebody had to back out of that, and it was Mubarak as Nando leads the way from Kean in second. Lars there in third, lap 3 out of 29 here in the Bahrain Grand Prix. Marcos there in fourth. Early position gains, by the way, looking through them, Max has gained 4. 9 position gains for the man on the set of softs in Louis Valentin. Absolutely goated through the field so far from the Williams man. Williams, Perrin, Verpack and Gabriel did very well in F2 early on as well. Nando, though, leading the way from Kean second. Lars there in third. Most positions lost after that pit stop is Mubarak. Left side unplate damage, as I mentioned, on the car. But everyone now is settling down. And this is the point, Jess, where I think, as I mentioned it a little bit early on, it's going to get a little bit tactical, I think.
It's going to get very tactical indeed, because they usually burn a lot of ERS here. I think the ERS usage is very high. I've learned it when I did career mode here, and it's always going to be the same. So they can't afford to push too much for the entirety, because otherwise the guys behind that may be saving battery could be on for a huge advantage. I'm not laughing what's going on at the chat right now, but Kian looks like he could go for a move here potentially as well with DRS enabled, but he's going to back out because he's in that DRS train, and the amount of energy that he's trying to save from the battery currently, which is going to be very, very important. Louis, his tyres are not going to be too good in the next couple of laps, so he's got to get past Marlon and Max ASAP. I have to say Max has also done a very good job in this race too. And DRS train after DRS train after DRS train is going to be a common factor around here. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to blink first. Who wants to make the overtake? Because, Marlon's went a little bit wide there, and that's going to invite Louis a chance to get P9 then. But luckily, Marlon manages to hold his own, stays in ninth. But that was very lucky from the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, and this is where Louis Valentine's going to start struggling in the tyres as well. I can already see on the right tyre, the right front tyre, a little bit of graining, a little bit of blistering going through the centre of the tyre. And that is already the softs beginning to go off. We said about lap 7 optimal, then lap 10, if they want to try and get to lap 10 on that set of softs, then for a set of hards, I think it'll be for Louis. But he's there in 10th position. He's struggling now on those tyres. They've really begun to hit the cliff. He's dropping off the back of Marlon there slightly. Bradder's beginning to get into this as Keane's going to go for the race lead on Nando in towards turn number 1, already down the straight, and the McLaren eyes it up as actually the side-by-side on the back there. Markador's on the back of Lars. Lars has got way too deep in towards turn number 1. Markador's now trying to get the up and under and gets to move back down around the outside of turn number 2. Nice stuff there by Markador's ahead of Lars, and Yossi now trying to get involved in this as well in toward the right-hander turn number 4. On the outside he goes, the Frenchman, the Talent Factory man against his fellow teammate in the esports team, just falls off that quickly, and sorry for Yossi there, that was never going to work because Lars stays ahead of him in 4th, Yossi there in 5th, but Yossi will keep trying and trying. He's a Frenchman in a French car and he's doing a very good job.
I have to say, we've got a lot of Talent Factory drivers in a row and a lot of OP drivers in a row as well. So how is that going to play out in the debrief later on? It'll be interesting to see that right now. And I think anyone that's within that 3/10 mark is going to be on for a great opportunity to get the moves, or maybe they're going to wait to go for moves until the pit stop window, which is around about lap 13. But for Louis, he's going to be able to pit around about, I would say, lap 8. The wear around these tyres, 5 to 8% per lap, which is quite massive if you think about it as well. It's a lot less compared to if you're on the mediums and the softs. And luckily, formation lap is off in PSGL, because if you have formation lap on in PSGL, that could cause huge issues. As you can see, Yossi right on the back of Lars once again. Here's round number 3 for these two. Start, finish straight they go. And we're going to start to see Yossi using the overtake. They're all winning that DRS train. Through turn number 1, up to the right-hand side, then we go. Heading towards turn number 2, and he does it on those hard tyres. Beautiful stuff. It looked very controlled from the Alpine driver. Yossi up into 4th position, and someone's raised a very good point in the chat, Dirt, and said Yossi really learned he's driving way more safe. Yes, some people are maybe new to the top tier of racing and maybe not used to racing of drivers in this caliber, may be involved in incidents early on in the season, but as soon as they get potential penalties, that's how they learn what not to do, and I think that's what Yossi is doing. He's driving a much cleaner race compared to last week. Maybe because he likes the track a bit more, we don't know, but we will see. He's already up to 4th. He could have the pace to get P3. I think someone predicted Yossi to do well in the chat, so not far off from your prediction in the chat, everybody.
Yeah, definitely not. Yossi there in 4th. The Swiss man, by the way, not the Frenchman, as I said earlier on. The Swiss man doing a good job there in 4th position in the Alpine. And to be honest, he's learned his craft really well. And all of that credit, I mean, he's in Talent Factory now. All of that credit goes to the guys at Juventus Racing. He was originally part of JR, now part of Talent Factory, really honing in on his craft. He's improved so much, I've got to say, over the last 3 or 4 months. Even from when he shot on the scene in the WR Legacy Division for JR. They did a fantastic job back then, and Yossi really bounded them about. And Yossi, once again, on the back of Markadal in towards turn number 1. I think that's going to be moved further down the field as Tim is on the back of Radadal and actually passes him down the start-finish straight in towards turn number 1. So the Williams now gaining a position ahead of the McLaren. McLaren, though, very late on the brakes. Near rear locks in towards turn number 1. Tim there in 12th position, trying to hang on, and Bradders is trying to hang on to the back of Louis Valentine. He might actually have a go in towards turn number 4. This will be very easy for Bradders to the inside line. The man that qualified 6th into Pro Exhibition is through, and he's into P10 in the Bahrain Grand Prix here in PSGL.
Yes, I have to say, top 10 score points in PSGL PSF1. P1 get 16 points added to their total, with P2 12, P3 10, and we've got 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 point. It's not like Formula 1. It is what it is to how to make the racing even closer, because the points are so narrower and narrower. And you also get a point for fastest lap as well. No point for pole position. I kind of wish there is a point for pole position in real life. F1, FIA, please introduce that, because I think that would persuade more team to try. Oh, something's gone on in the background.
Huge mistake by Nando. Sorry to cut you off, Jess. Huge mistake by Nando. I just caught that flicking off board onto Marcados. Nando caught the inside curb. I did reference Car Killer Corner earlier on. Huge mistake from Nando. The Aston Martin completely on the back foot now. Kian there leading the way. Nando in second, Marcados in third. Marcados has got 50% of ERS at this stage as Jerry Van Bussel has run up a move on Lars. Of course, won here in F2 last season. Now gets up into 5th position here in F1 this season. Jerry Van Bussel making ground throughout the field. Tim also passing Louis Valentine. Those tyres are short. He needs to come in the pit lane. Little bit of a love tap there from Lars on the back of Jerry Van Bussel. Just to think, contract that as Tim has gone off track in towards turn 1 and gets a 5-second penalty for corner cutting. He's came across the gravel trap. I don't know how on earth he's ended up there. We will see that, I'm sure, on replays and I'm sure on social media a little bit later on as Jensen tries to go all the way around the outside on Stefano through turn number 4. Alfa Romeo partly alongside, now fully alongside. Hand of rage there from the Alfa Romeo. Gets alongside. Could Jensen pull this off? Beautiful stuff by Jensen. Gets the job done. Stefano now on the back foot and Jensen through. Unlucky for some, not unlucky for Jensen. He's through and he's into 13th for Tim. Not sure what happened with that instant. He came across off the gravel and I can only assume he might have ended up there with a bit of contact.
Yeah, it looked like it from a Jensen there, but I think these drivers probably starting to take a bit more risk now as we get to the pit stop window. I did predict it at the start of the stream that it could happen, and it seems to happen currently, but meanwhile, the top 3 are just running away with it at the moment as Marcados has got even closer to Nando in this final sector alone. It may be down to low downforce on his setup currently compared to Nando. Nando probably running a much higher downforce setup. This track does require medium downforce, but there are certain corners which it requires higher downforce. So ideally, the medium downforce you run, the much better your car will be. As Marcados has got a DRS, can't get past. Nando's got even closer to Kian, but we got Ryder down and Louis going past. We've got Tom trying to get past quite a lot of people. It almost ended in tears. Luckily, those cars kept it in one piece because it would have been disaster, I have to say. Tom up to 6th, Lars up to 7th, Mars in 8th position. That's going to be, I think, a major DRS train and a half. Tom is almost out of DRS to the cars in front, which is Jerry Van Bussel, Yossi and Marcados. So Tom really needs to get a move on, because otherwise we could see 2 DRS trains instead of 1 big one as well. But yeah, lap 13 or lap 14, when they're going to do it? Or will they pit later than that?
If I was the front runner, certainly I'd be pitting in a little bit earlier because Macho proved it in F2. The undercut is so much more powerful than the overcut around this track. The overcut will lose you about 4 or 5 seconds as Macho pitted in, I think, 4 laps earlier than some of the guys and ended up with a 5-second lead. I'm not sure how he did with the rest of the race. Please don't ruin it, Evan Dalton. I saw you in the chat a little bit earlier on in terms of the result. But Kian there leading the way from Nando in second, Marcados there in third. Yossi and Jerry Van Bussel, I think, have been told, potentially by the race engineers, to get on with things. They're now beginning to close up on the back of Marcados, Jerry Van Bussel especially on the back of Yossi. And given how Jerry Van Bussel was F2 last season and he completed the fantastic 5 victories last time, Jerry is lucky now in a world of his own. He's right on the back of Yossi. He's in that zone. He's going to try and chase down on the back of Marcados. And Nando, speaking of which, Nando on the back of Kian in towards turn 1. Got excited for a second there. Thought there was going to be a move. Didn't happen from the Aston Martin. But there has been a move further down the field. I think that's Jensen through on Louis Valentine in towards turn 1. So he is through and he's into 12th position, making good ground throughout the field. And if you were in Louis Valentine's shoes right now, chat, what would you be doing right now? He's in 13th position on lap 10, pretty much where he said to come in the pit lane. Is he going to stay out there and stick it out for an overcut, or is he going to go for an undercut? Please let me know in the chat, because I'd like to see what you would do in this situation.
I'm surprised that he hasn't pitted already, because his tyres must be absolutely dead in that Williams car, but unfortunately, we don't get this amount of data because obviously the game does not show it, which is unfortunate, however. And I could get telemetry up for it, but it doesn't show it either. So, yeah, we can't see how much tyre wear they've got. We can't see, or are they struggling or not. He doesn't seem to be struggling that much, but he's dropping quite a few positions, which probably explains the optimum pace drop-off from Louis Valentine. As Matt up into 7th place, he has overtaken Lars. Wiener just asked what was the F2 pole. I can't remember. I know James knows off the top of his head.
I don't, actually.
0.763 it was. Oh, okay.
0.763, and we were quicker than that by, what, a tenth of a second? 27.6? Or 27.5?
Yeah, it was quite close, actually. I think F2 almost beat us last week. But anyway, Ryder gets past Brad before he even hit the braking zone. Nicely done as well, but you can see the flashing light, James. That means for Brad is that he hasn't got much ERS left.
He hasn't. He's only got 13% of ERS, so that, again, is unlucky for some. He's on the back of Rotterdam, but look at that train. All of that train, by the way, got caused by Louis Valentin going so slow through the middle sector, and them ending up pulling, what, a second, 2 seconds clear. Marlon now 2.5 seconds clear of Rotterdam. That's where the split has happened, and it's all to blame on the Williams man there in 13th, and I'm sure there's going to be quite a few unhappy drivers in the top 10, or the bottom half of the field, that are going to be looking at Louis Valentin and thinking, you should have just came in the pit lane earlier, and then we wouldn't have been in this situation. And I maybe agree on that, as Kian leads the way from Nando in second, Marquez in third, Yossi in fourth, Jerry Van Bussel there in fifth. Everyone now closing up, though, in the top 9. Rotterdam trying to close up that gap indeed. Meetha is saying in the chat, lap 14 is way too early to go on a set of mediums. Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be maybe lap 16, 17, as I've got in my notes. It'll be about lap 16, 17. 12, 13 laps normally optimal on a set of mediums, so we'll see how that is going to pan out in terms of the racing. But Kian currently holding his own out in front, and from a man that was getting himself tanned on holiday last week, he's doing a very good job, and he's actually pulling away from Nando, who again makes a mistake on the final corner.
And I have to say, another driver that has come a long way since we saw him on the last game is Kian, because he started on a lower division, and Nando almost got Kian into turn number 1, but Kian's saying, no, thank you very much. You keep behind me because I want this race victory. I know I've been on holiday, but that doesn't mean that I haven't practiced that much. He must have probably practiced a lot, knowing that Bahrain was next, as through turn number 4. No luck from Nando this time. But yes, as I was saying, Kian, who was, I believe, F3 and F4. Last time I saw him, I think, on F1 2021, I think he was in F6. And now he's in F1, leading a race, one of the favourites for the title. He's in Talent Factory. I have to say, the teams he's been in has grown so much and helped him develop as a driver. It's always great to see that improvement from game to game. And from the last 2 games, actually, he's holding his own. And it was unfortunate that he got unlucky in the first 2 rounds of his first F1 season last year. But Kian is driving so much better. He's controlling the field. He's had pressure from Nando behind, but that's not letting him phase him. He's hitting all the car in all the right places, and it is brilliant.
He is. Nando Marquez, though, will keep him with him, and that's what's going to be the real turning point, I think, in this race. If Nando Marquez can find a weakness in Kian, which there isn't any at the minute, but if they can find a weakness somewhere, or they can force him into a mistake, that is going to be game-changing and race-changing potentially. As Nando, again, very, very deep into the final corner, loses 0.3 of a second, and now Marquez might be inclined to try and go for the move, but he's got no straight-line speed as Marquez down the straight. Nando is having to burn all of his battery to pull away. Marquez, though, absolutely shocking pace down the straight, and he is going to be absolutely done for, with Yossi and Jerry Van Bussel in behind as well, 4th and 5th position. Tom involved in this as well, of course, won the race last season on round 5 in PSGL, looking to try and claim that, maybe making a double here in Bahrain from Tom. Of course, he has won more than 15 races, I believe, in PSGL in his career, but Kian there leading the way from Nando in second. Marquez there in third. Stefano there saying in the chat, Kian's really fast, and Lars saying he's a master scout, and that is the scout. Driver Scout, Talent Factory there in the chat talking that, and I totally agree. He's doing a fantastic job. Kian there leading the way, Nando in second, Marquez in third. But this is where this is going to get very interesting. The second half of the race about to begin. Nando again on terms of that ERS. Kian is just finding, I think it's the middle sector, coming through turns 9 and 10, that part of the lap where Kian is so strong. Nando is normally very strong through this part of the lap, coming through the final couple of corners, and then in towards turns 14 and 15. But if he makes a mistake like what he did last time, puts him on the back foot, Marquez with his straight line speed is going to be non-existent. So Yossi may be the one sitting pretty on 97% of ERS as Max is through on Tom. He makes a mistake, I think, out the final couple of corners there. So Tom now down behind Max. Max doing his into 6th, Tom there in 7th. But Yossi, if I was in his shoes right now, if I was the Swiss man, I'd probably want to try and get that ERS on to try and close in a Marquez sooner rather than later, I think.
How on earth does he have that amount of battery yet and he is that quick? That is amazing from Yossi. And like you were saying, another driver that has come up the ranks from lower down in PSGL to compete in the top division. And one of the performances that struck me, I think you were commentating it with me, was the first social race, and it was Spain. And I was like, hang on, I wasn't expecting him to be up there, and he was just lightning quick. He started lower down and he came through the field like no tomorrow. He was absolutely amazing, getting moves done left, right and centre, and looks like he's just keeping it calm. He's not going to be going for moves yet. He doesn't want to take too many risks until potentially the pit stop window, and he's looking like pretty much the top four are looking like are going to be in for a chance to win. Even Jerry Van Bussel, who's caught up a lot of times to Yossi in that sector. So I will keep an eye on sector times very, very shortly. But I literally can't call who can win this race, because at the moment, it could be any of the top 9. Even Marlon and Lars and Tom are in this. They're in the same DRS train as well. Lel Bell says, I hope Nando gets a podium tonight. He's looking likely at the moment. Even though he's slower compared to Markados, he's still managing to pen for him right now. But is it going to be too little too late for Nando to keep that position? Or will it help him maybe in the pit stops, we will say?
I think Nando has to come in the pit lane earlier. If I'm going to be honest, he's struggling. Here's Jerry Van Bussel, by the way, on the back of Yossi. They're going to straight line it down in towards turn number 1. Jerry Van Bussel trying to get in the slipstream. Are they going to think maybe going for the move on the back of Markados and try and put him in for full sense? Yes, they are, but Jerry Van Bussel rear locks into turn number 1, and Yossi's never going to get that one done down in towards turn number 1. I could see what was going to happen there. In the end, didn't work. It should have just been well timed, maybe up the hill and towards turn number 4. Markados there in 3rd, Yossi 4th, Jerry Van Bussel there in 5th, remain as they are. We have had our first pit stop, however. Louis Valentine also put in a little bit earlier on, and now it's Bradders on a set of medium compounder tyres, and he is actually side by side with Louis Valentine, pretty much coming out the pit lane in towards turn number 1, and has just barely scraped ahead. But with those tyres that Louis Valentine's got, he should be ahead of Bradders with this undercut strategy, with this big undercut that we talked about earlier on, and Louis Valentine makes mincemeat of Bradders up the straight in towards turn number 4, and that is him through, and he's into 18th position. Kino now leading the way, 93% of EOS on his terms. Nando in 2nd, 60% of EOS. Markados in 3rd, 68%. Yossi in 4th, he's used a little bit up now, 86%. Jerry Van Bussel in 5th on 68, Max in 6th on 86. What is it with very high EOS management around here in Bahrain? Trying to manage the tyres as far as possible, I think. But Nando, back to Lelbell's comment a little bit earlier on. Nando, I think, is going to struggle for a podium. I really do. He's there in 2nd. He's got good straight line speed, but he rear locks going into the corners, and rear locking around this track, that does not want to happen. And if I was in Nando's shoes right now, I'd try and fake it into the pit lane, maybe think about getting the undercut on the likes of Kian, and then try and put your stranglehold on the race.
Quite a lot of people seem to be doing dummies at the moment, tricking people to go into the pit lane, as Jerry very tight on entry, heading past turn 1 into turn number 2, and with DRS enable, he dropped back a little bit, going in the straight line, and nobody has come into the pit. I'm very shocked about that. I thought more people in the middle especially would have taken advantage of that, and that's really going to help the ones who have pitted as well. But there may be some people that are praying for a potential safety car to happen. I do remember though, I was watching PCF2 last week. They had a very good last lap for, I think it was the win of the race. It looks like we could see this here, the way this is going at the moment, because we've got Kian right there in front, holding his own. We've got the battle between Nando and Markados that can keep going for P2 as well. Markados going to try and set up the inside into turn 11, which he does not. It's a very understeery part of the track, as I like to call it, but setting good sectors as we know it as well. So, yeah, I'm a bit shocked that they haven't pitted, to be honest, but they're probably expecting things that we don't.
Yeah, I was going to say they're expecting a little bit of rain, but I think that's just pushing it maybe too far.
There's no rain in Bahrain.
Well, there is rain in the track, in the country title, but that's about as much rain as they're going to get. It's faking into the pit lane, but Nando is into the pits. Nando is into the pit lane. This is exactly what I thought he would do. Fake it, come in the pit lane, make everyone else go a little bit further. Marlon's also filled them in as well. This could be genius from Nando. It really could. He's into the pit lane. Set of medium compounder tyres going to go on. Those tyres are going to be fresh on this lap. If he gets a very good outlap going here, Nando's going to be side by side with Kian next lap around. Mark my words. Mark on this stream right now. Nando could be side by side with Kian next lap around. But the further that the leaders go into the race, the more under pressure they're going to be from Nando, who's nearly gone very much straight on in towards turn number 1 with those cold mediums. But he's there in 15th position. He's got clear air. He's ahead of Louis Valentin, who's going to be jumping up through the field as well. Brada's the same. Marlon's joined up behind both of them. Undercut more powerful. And if I was in Kian Marcador's Yossi shoes right now, I think about coming in this lap just to try and cut off what potentially could be a masterclass undercut by Nando.
Yes, I think undercuts have always been powerful. We've seen it in PSGL social race as well. And I thought I'd bring a quick stat which we didn't put in the notes. In Lobby 2, guess who won the social race in Lobby 2 around Bahrain?
Oh, you're pushing at me now. I'm guessing it's Nando.
No, it wasn't. It was Kian. And I think I remember it was around 4,000 of a second. I did clip it on TikTok, I believe. So I think we could be on for...
Stays out.
Yeah, he stays out. But the one person that is in is Max Marcados. Lars stays out as well. Jensen stays out. Ryder
Oh, Jerry Van Bussel.
Jay Van Bussel.
Yes.
Side by side, heading towards turn number 2 and 3. Beautiful stuff for Jay Van Bussel. His tyres definitely much more controlled than yours. He's probably got less wear to them as well, and he's really catching up to Kian. This could be huge in terms of the pit stops. Braddock's fastest lap, 1:31.066, as Braddock is right on the back of Louis, which he got past luckily. So Braddock's on the comeback as well, 2.2 seconds as well. Nando now 10 seconds behind Tim. I'm trying to remember, do you know what the pit lane loss is around it?
Pit lane loss, I think, is about 23, 24 seconds, in and around that sort of area, I think. By the way, Marcados is in a whole heap of trouble now. Look at who was ahead of him. Bradders and Louis Valentin are now ahead of him. So Marcados especially has judged this completely wrong. Nando's now 2.3 seconds clear of Bradders. If that's anything to go by, Kian, Jerry, Yossi, Tom are all going to be potentially behind the likes of Marlon and the likes of Max. That is going to be unbelievable to see, I think. And Nando, as I mentioned, he had to do something off the cuff. He did not have the pace. He had the rear locking going on. If he keeps this clean, Nando has produced one of the best undercuts I think I've seen around Bahrain. As now, Kian into the fight along with Jerry, but Yossi interestingly continues on.
You know how I've done my real-life trackside commentary at Silverstone this weekend? I always say, oh, this team is doing so well, but then they stop on the track. Don't do it to Nando, please. He only, I think, did 20 seconds last week in Brazil. We don't want him to do like 28 laps and then crash or something, or drop down positions or something. But, yes, he is so far ahead. But look at this, three wide, heading towards turn number 1, and Kian has been caught on the back a bit as well. The ones who pitted before him has really took advantage. So Nando in FP1, Marcados in FP2, Bradders last week's race winner in P3, Louis in 4th. I think he did he do soft to mediums? I think he did. He's made that strategy work. I may want to try it for my Bahrain race in the future. Louis, you giving me ideas here.
Brilliant undercut, but his tyres are going to be shocking towards the end of the race as Marlon tries to force the move down the inside, and Max actually goes around the outside of Marlon after getting caught on the inside curves coming out of turn and right, and Max is throwing his into 12th, Marlon there 13th, Kian now in 14th. It's actually a net, what is that? Goodness me, I couldn't even count. That's a net P8, I think, for Kian, or a net P7, at least for Kian at this stage. The undercut is normally better than the overcut. I didn't expect it to be this good. Nando there in 8th. Marcados there in 9th, Brothers there in 10th. They are net P1, 2 and 3 out on track. Yossi now needs to treat this out lap like a qualifying lap because he has got absolutely no chance to try and stick within these guys. He could be coming out behind Jerry Van Bussel, behind Jeroen, as well as everyone now is into the pit lane. Jensen continues on because the Alfa Romeo's potentially double stacking. Stefano, interestingly, stays on as well. Are they going to risk it and go for a set of soft compound tyre? Now, that is talking completely off the cuff.
Well, Louis did it. Louis did 9 laps, didn't he? He did 9 laps on a set of soft tyres earlier, and he made it work. Max.
Look at the speed of Max. Inside line at turn number 1. Absolutely juiced the inside line. There's more contact in towards turn 1 and behind, but Max has just got Bradders and Louis as if they weren't as if they were standing still. Max he's into 6th. Marlon now on the outside line, and Louis Valentin in amongst this as well to the outside line at turn number 4. No way around the outside, and that is what you get for getting caught on the sand. getting a bit of rear lock in, and if I was him, I'd just let him behind, but he's got Kean to the inside line of him in towards turn number 5, and there's contact between them both. Kean should have backed off that, and he should have backed off that as well. Joe Van Bussel collects him, no fault of his own, and Kean, potentially what could have been a P1 in this race, has now just gone in complete another smoke.
Yeah, he was on for the win. He won the social race as well, and I think that's an example of a commentator's curse, unfortunately. That is a huge shame for Kean, our pole sitter. Unfortunately, not going to be able to take the win, but Jensen stays out. Joe Van Bussel sends the move of dreams there. Past the DRS zone, not many people can make overtakes there. Joe Van Bussel is up into a net P6 currently, doing a really good job. I'm almost certain the incident that is involving Kean and a few other drivers will be investigated by the stewards. I caught the aftermath of that because I was trying to see all other drivers as well. The top 3 have still stayed out. Blackbox trying to get past Stefano, which he did because Stefano comes in. I think, yeah, Jensen and Blackbox probably seen what Louis has done and probably could go on to a set of the soft tyres. And look at what Stefano's doing. Set of softs, but he's dropping massively behind, but who knows, there could be a safety car. We got some moves in the background. Van Bussel and Louis once again. Lovely from Jerry Van Bussel, our F2 champion from last season. And Axel saying Yossi's going to win this race, mark my words. Well,
no.
He's down in 11th position, but I think I'm going to say, I don't want to predict, they may bin it. I'm going to say nothing. I'm going to say nothing. But you can let us know in the chat, but I think there's plenty of drivers that can win. Shame it's not Kean. I did say Matt for feeling a bit under the radar, but now he's just showing, you know what, Jess, I'm not under the radar now. I want to win this race, and he's in the top 3 currently. But your battle for the win, Nando versus Margados versus Max versus Bradders. This is going to be a close championship as Jay Van Bussel trying to send it. Up the left-hand side he goes. Lovely stuff. Joe Van Bussel is up into 4th place. His pace is on fire. 1.3 seconds behind Matt. He's almost going to be within DRS. Could he? I literally don't know who's going to win this race. This has been really great so far.
I am going to pull it out all on the limb, quite literally, and you can at me in the chat a little bit later on if this happens. I'm going to say Joe Van Bussel for the win. He is looking so quick right now on that sort of medium compound tyres. He's there in, net P4 at the minute. He's got Max in front of him, who's defending champion from last season. And look, Nando's going to stop, Marcados and Nando are going to start playing games. They're both in the same esports team. So why would they try and overtake each other? Nando and Marcados, if I was in Marcados' shoes right now, I'd save up that ERS, maybe have a go at Nando in the final 2 laps of the race. Max and Jerry, though, by that point, will be on the back of these guys, especially the man in the Ferrari. Louis Valentin as well, just being passed by Marlon and Bradders. So Bradders now 3rd, he's into 6th, Marlon there in 7th. Louis Valentin's tyres definitely not going to be working towards the end. I wouldn't be surprised if they punctured towards the end, if I'm going to be honest. Ryan there as well, getting that undercut on. But Yossi there in 9th position. He might be an outside look. He's got too much ground, I think, to make up. If I was a betting man and to put a bet on Yossi, I'd probably say it is around about a 20% chance of him winning right now, because he's there in 9th. He's on much fresher tyres, but he's got so much ground to make up. The likes of Marlon and Bradders are going to battle. Well, I thought Marlon was going to go through on the back of Bradders there, but in the end doesn't, and it gets caught on a bit of a snap of oversteer coming out of turn number 11 as well. But Blackbox there leading the way. Nando in 2nd, Marcados in 3rd. Jensen, by the way, we didn't cover it. He's there in a sort of soft compound tyre now toward the back end of the field. As now Yossi's trying to make mincemeat on the back of Louis Valentin, and the Swiss man trying to eat his own words on the back of the Williams and towards turn number 14. Can't get quite close enough though. Blackbox still leading. Nando in 2nd, Marcados there in 3rd. Blackbox still continuing on, and now are we going to see 4 wide or 3 wide at least down in towards turn 1 as Yossi gets on the move on Louis? Could get 1, could get 2, could get 3. There's Bradders, there's Marlon to the inside line. Can he get 3's a charm? Marlon very much locking on the brakes, and he can. Brilliant stuff by Yossi. That is absolute insight if I've ever seen it. The Alpine pulls the move off. The Swiss man not ruled out of this race win yet. He's up into P6. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Marlon had a bit of a rear lock on. He lost the position because of that. Yossi, though, brilliant racing as Marlon gets caught up in a bit of a contact there with Louis Valentin, I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you do not tune out to this one, because this is going to be so electric. And they're still going side by side, the Hasman and the Alpine, heading past turn 7 and 8 now. Ryan gets the job done. Margados gets past Blackbox. Box's tile is probably dead, but there was one point in the chat on whether Black Box was going to help teammate, and look at that. Black Box is doing a great job to maybe try and bring out Max, but probably has wheeled in Nando as well, so it's kind of like a cork in the bottle in a way. They're stuck in a OP sandwich, it looks like. So far, Markados is leading, Black Box second, Nando third. Nando's got to get past ASAP because we know how Black Box wants to help the Talent Factory team. I don't think you're meant to be doing that, but you think you're meant to be helping your teammate. But they're going to give it a good go anyway, as Nando pulls to the left-hand side and he gets past. So it's now going to be Markados versus Nando for the win. And Max surely has got to get past as well. We'll keep an eye on Yossi as well. Drops a little bit further back, but it's not going to be that long before he catches up to Jerry Van Bussel. Ryan up the inside of, I think it was Louis at the time. And now Lars gonna send it. Oh, that was a bit of a twitch from Bradders behind. But Lars stays in temp. Jerome up there as well. Don't forget, this is a battle for the last point. Matt gets past Black Box. Jay Van Bussel also gets past as well. Oh my God, James, it's hard to keep up.
It is very, very much hard to keep up when we've still got 5 laps of this, and I'm going to live every single moment with you guys in the chat and with you guys. Oh my God, and that is Lars to the inside line of Louis Valentin. Cutting off my own words there. That was a dive bomb and a half. Daniel Ricciardo-esque from the man. And look at that from the Alpine. That is Bradders to the inside on Louis Valentin. Tries to sell the switch in towards turn number 10. Can't get the move done on the exit. They're now side by side, going at each other like cats and dogs, I think, in towards turn number 11. In the end, Tom getting involved in this as well on the back of your own, trying to force the move. It's getting a little bit tussly in the mid-pack, but my God, Tom gets the move done on the back of your own. We can't keep up with this. Markados now leading, Nando in second, Max there in third. Max all of a sudden on the back of Nando, and actually nearly goes into the back of him on the exit of the final corner. Joe Van Bussel now involved in this battle as well. But Markados there leading the way. Most of these guys are very much low on ERS, so everyone's on an even playing field as Black Box is finally into the pit lane. Lets Yossi go. But Yossi's got a 3.2 second gap to try and gain, and I think that's probably not the best thing to do, to come in the pit lane if you were to try and work as a Talent Factory team and try and give each other something, which is not, as Max gets a very big snap of oversteer coming out of turn number 3 and 4. Joe Van Bussel now on the back of him, but it's 4 for the race lead on to the final 5 laps of the race. Markados, Nando, Max and Jerry. 3 wide in the background, however. That's Lars trying to go through the middle of both Ryan and Marlon. Marlon a bit deep on the brakes there, but Lars has got the job done. Ryan now down into 8th position. We can't keep up. I don't think you guys can at home either. It's Fidel and Bradders are side by side. And how on earth has he pulled that one off? Because now, still side by side between Bradders. I'm going to fall off my chair in a second if I'm not careful. Markados leading, Nando second, Max in third. All hell breaking loose in Bahrain.
And I think this is what we like to see. Oh, Brad is almost going to send it. No, he lost a bit of time. He's lost a bit of ground. And I think Tom's going to get him as well. That was very unlucky. He's dropped all the way down into P12. And I think we did say, James, how being the first man to get the undercut is probably going to hinder him due to the amount of tyre life. He shouldn't have pitted when he did. And that's what's cost him at the moment. It's really hard to keep up because I was fighting for the battle for the lead here as well, which is still going strong. And it's between Markados, Nando, Max and Jay Van Bussel. Who's going to win this run? Jay Van Bussel is looking very racy then. Is he going to put it into practice? It doesn't look like he's going to be using his overtake to get past right now. So I think he's going to be being very brave in these last few laps and play it absolutely safe. We know what's happened on the last lap as Marlon, Ryan and Lars go for it. Lars gets 6th, Ryan gets 7th, Marlon's in 8th, Louis is back up into 9th. Louis is struggling on those tyres there, and Tom looking to keep that final point, but he's looking to get more points than both of the Hasses are fighting again as Lars and Ryan still going side by side as well. We got Bradders once again with Stefano. Can he keep it on the island this time? It looks like he can. Bradders stays in 13th position. Stefano's got 3-second time battle. Oh my word, this could be a set of dreams for Stefano, and he does on those soft tyres. This is one of the best Bahrain races I've seen in absolutely ages. Tom is right on the middle of this as we head towards turn number 10 to the inside. He gets past one car. Is he going to get past 2? I don't know. Jay Van Bussel's around about 1/10 behind Max, so we'll keep an eye on him in just a second. But the other Ferrari, Volakongan, is getting back into this as well. Let's watch the battle for P3. It looks like it's going to get very entertaining.
It is. Take a breath. We need our breath, I think, for the rest of this race. Marquinhos leads. Nando in second. Max in third. Jerry Van Bussel there in fourth. And Jerry again on the back. He's been smart, though. They're saving that ERS. Both Max and Jerry Van Bussel are saving the ERS down the straight. It is very smart from them both. They do not want to make the move onto the penultimate lap of the race because they'll be too much more in front of the race. Oh, Nando's gone very deep in towards turn number one. Very much a real look on the brakes there from Nando. Now puts Marquinhos in a 7-10th lead. And Nando all of a sudden under pressure from Max. And Max is going to have to use up his ERS now to maybe think about getting the move done on Nando. Nearly handed to him on a silver platter. Could still be. Nando there in second, Max in third. Max still trying to fight the move in through turn number four, but he can't. Jerry Van Bussel's just sitting there thinking, you know what? One of you guys make a mistake, I'm going to be right there or thereabouts to take potential podium. Max switches to the inside line on the back of Nando in towards turn number 8. Tries to get the job done. Now Marquinhos is pretty much a second clear. Max on the outside line. Traction central from Max. Brilliant move from the Red Bull on the outside. And Jerry Van Bussel, how on earth is he going to pull this one off? To the inside line. Switched it very late on the brakes through turns 9 and 10. Got the job done. But that is Jerry Van Bussel through, and he's into third. And if I've got to be honest, if I was in his shoes right now, I'd be giving that position up because I think he'll get a penalty for that.
It will be up to the stewards on that one, but I have to say some really great moves from all these drivers currently, and it's proving to be a spectacle in the commentary box. I said that word wrong. And because of that squabbling, Marquinhos has put no foot wrong. He has been doing driving amazing so far, causing no troubles. It looks like he's going to win on track and outright so far, unless Max could pull a miracle and somehow win this race. He's got to find a 10th. He's got to find a 10th, but he's not doing so. Jerry Van Bussel is even closing up to him right now. He's even got a bit of marbles on his tyres as well as there's Nando in the background. Meanwhile, Lars has dropped down into 8th place. It's free wide into turn 2. Please back out somebody. Luckily, someone backs out and through goes Tom. Through turn number 3. Can he get past 1 or 2 cars? No, he's backed off, luckily.
No way.
No way. He's not going to go for the move there, surely. Well, Lars has got past 1 car. We got Louis. This is all for the final point, remember. Ryder is in this as well. He's winning a 10th of a second too. Heading towards turn number 8. I'm looking to see if Lars can try and get down the inside of turn number 8, but he's not going to do so thus far. I think there's battles for the win, battles for the podium, and battles for, like, the midfield positions. We do have interviews today. Yes, yellow flag. That is black box, I think.
Black box. Yeah, black box on the exit of the pit lane. He came in to set us off Campana tyres. Don't worry about that. He's out of contention this race. We've still got all 20 drivers going, and there's only 2 of them picked up a 3-second penalty. Stefano got forced off, so he might get his one removed. Brad is there as well on the outside. I think it was of turn number 9 and 10 where he picked up his. So he's there in 19th. My God. I don't know what's going to happen on the final lap. Buckle up. Here's Jerry Van Bussel on the back of Max for P2. Gets the new job done down the inside line in towards turn number 1. And Jerry Van Bussel now in second. He's going to have to try and hunt on the back of Marquinhos. It's now a second the gap, though, between himself and the Ferrari. Max there in third. Nando there in fourth. And Jerry Van Bussel is not within DRS.
He was.
He's not.
He was, and now he's gone. So,
Just outside of a second, I think it was, from Jerry in the end. Tom picking up a penalty. Stefano picking up a penalty as well. Further down the field, Marlon fighting the fight with Ryan.
Oh my God!
All hell's going to break loose in the background. Lars to the inside of Tom. 2x2 like Noah's Ark they go, and it's still 2x2. There's in that section, there's a Mercedes round in the background there as well. That's Stefano. Marquinhos though leading. Jerry Van Bussel in second.
Surely
Max
not.
Third. There is nearly 3 wide in towards turn number 8. I cannot watch this for the life of me. Ryder side by side with Louis Valentine in the mid-pack. There's nothing going on in the front, which is why we're covering the mid-pack as we now get 2 wide in towards turn number 10. Louis Valentine and Ryder forced off track, 3-second penalty. And that might come back to bite him, but he might get that one removed as well by the stewards. It's at that discretion. We're going to have to go to the front, though, because Marquinhos leading the way from Jerry Van Bussel in second. Jerry Van Bussel, oh, how would he like another lap, I think, of this this race. He's flying on the back of Marquez, but it's going to be way too late. In towards the final couple of corners. Yossi is side by side with Nando into the final corner. Where has he come from? Yossi to the inside line gets P4. Marquez, though, to the line, wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. Jerry Van Bussen second, Max in third, and Yossi just barely hangs on from Nando there in fourth. All hell is breaking loose in the background.
Look at this!
Molan's going to be sixth. Ryan on the back of Lars, Tom on the back of him as well. There's 3 wide across the line. There's 4 wide across the line. Penalties being picked up in that, I think, as well. Keane retiring. He retires just after the pit lane. That is unfortunate, I think, from him. Very frustrated. There's a spinner in the background as well. That, I think, is Stefano, who was spun out the final corner. Stefano spinning out the final corner. He's going to get overtaken by Brothers if he's not careful. He is. Has he got a puncture on the car? No, he hasn't. I thought he had a puncture, but he didn't. He's okay. Black Box and Mubarak are going to finish 19th and 20th in what has been...
18th and 19th, unless Keane is allowed to be classified. I don't know.
It was a retirement after the start-finish line. Should be fine, I think. But yeah,
okay.
Black Box and Mubarak 19th and 20th. Lars, I think, reacting to everyone in this chat. What the hell? What the hell have we just witnessed in Bahrain? One of the craziest, as Black Box said, the fastest lap of the race, one of the craziest races I think I've ever witnessed here in PSGL. I'd love to live it again. Mubarak comes to the line, actually steals the fastest lap from Black Box in the end, gets classified in P20 at the end of the race, unless, of course, the DNFs count, and then he's P18. Driver of the day, what about the in-game fans, is OP Ryan. Ryan had a bit of a squivel on through the final couple of laps in terms of the racing, but the man has taken it, and he absolutely deserved it. From last week, from getting a 5-second penalty to controlling the race, this is exactly what he needed to do. Of course, is the Mercedes of OP Marquez, who takes the top step of the podium, and I believe with that, Jess, if I'm not mistaken, he might take the championship lead as well with it.
Bearing in mind, someone's raised a good point with Dirk. Yossi's 5-second is not been added to the last race because he DNF'd in the last race. The 5 seconds get added to this one, so we're going to have to do some maths. But Marquez driven so well, and because he was able to get past the cars that were on a different strategy to him, that's what helped him, and he avoided all the squabbles. So, Marquez wins from Joe Van Bussel, then it's Max, then it will be Nando, and then it will be Yossi, then it will be Marlon, Ryan, Lars, Louis, Jeroen, and Volakongen. Luckily, Yossi only lost 1 place from that, so that 5 seconds didn't hinder him too much. Then we got Jedson, Tom, Ryder out Tim, Bradders, Black Box, Borat, and Kian and Stefano. And it does look like everybody did finish this race. No safety cars, much cleaner than last week. I did say at the end of the stream, please make it cleaner. And it was cleaner. It was spectacular. I'm glad there was no safety cars. And the race has just set a benchmark of what's to come, I think.
Definitely so, and yeah, I agree with you. I think the driving standards, compared to what we had in Brazil, yes, there was a little bit of squibbling and squabbling, however I'm going to put that. There was a bit of squabbling in the mid-pack. There was very aggressive battles, I think, throughout that mid-pack as well. But what drivers, I think, have got to realise that the driving standards have just got to improve that slightly. These are the top tier. These are PSF1. We're not messing around when you guys are saying in the chat, oh yeah, there's going to be a few incidents within the race. I totally agree with you. I don't want to see incidents. I'm sure Jess is exactly the same, but no race is 100% perfect. There are always going to be incidents, especially around a track like Bahrain, where everything gets going in the second half of the race. By God, it got going in the second half of the race as well. It was just brilliant to witness, I think. Unfortunately, Jerry Van Bussel's not going to be joining us for the interview. We're not sure if Marquez and Max will be able to.
Surely Marquez, he was here last week. And Max interviewed last year as well, or last season. So surely we can expect them to. But James, whilst we wait for them, who was your driver of the day? Marquez, but sure there's been some other drivers that put on some great performances too.
Jerry Van Bussel. Jerry
Yeah.
Van Bussel, I think, is certainly a big candidate for driver of the day. Yossi as well. I know he's got his 5-second penalty overhanging him as well. Yossi did fantastic, I think, in the second half of that race. As I say, everything came alive in the second half of that race. Yossi, by the way, is coming through on my screen. I apologise if anybody can hear that. I believe he is speaking potentially to somebody there in the party, which I don't think he's realised.
We couldn't hear it on stream, which was good. So I left the
couldn't
lobby.
hear it on stream. Yeah, you couldn't hear it on stream. I could, which I think was why I'm apologising for it. Marketer's saying he can't today. He's sorry for not joining the interview. That is totally fine. We're just waiting on Max's reply, but I don't think we're going to get anybody apart from Max potentially in terms of the interviews. But yeah, back to my point. I think Jerry Van Bussel, Yossi, certainly big candidates for driver of the day. Ryan as well, I'd argue, driver of the day. He certainly had a fair share of squabbling in the second half in the final 5 laps of that race, certainly with Lars and the likes of Louis Van Valentine and Jeroen. So many candidates for driver of the day. But yeah, Marketer's, Jerry Van Bussel, Yossi, the 3 standouts for me, and I really hope we get to see these guys go at it at Silverstone. It is the next round of the championship. We go home. You haven't left Silverstone, I think, for a week, Jess, in terms of your real-life commentary, so going back there, I think, in a sim racing will be very, very strange, but...
Especially around Cops Corner and the National
Especially
Pitch
around
Track.
Cops Corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you were based, of course, a Formula student. But yeah, of course, I think it's going to be fantastic. Max said he can't as well, so we're not going to get any interviews tonight, but we can fully focus on Silverstone, round 3 of the championship. I thought Bahrain was anything. You haven't seen anything yet in Silverstone. Put it this way, I've covered 1 social race at Silverstone on this game, and that ended up to potentially be one of the best races I think I've ever witnessed. So
I'm looking forward to that. You're hyping it up so much, James. I can't wait. I can't wait for next week to come already. And I'm sure you guys at home are going to be looking forward to that as well. But we're going to wrap things up here. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe. Quite a lot of people haven't subscribed yet, so make sure you do. Hit that bell if you are new. And also follow us on our social media channels, which you can find down below on Twitter and Instagram at PremierSimGL, and also join our Discord. Link is in the description. You can also follow our social medias. Those are down below on our cameras. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, you could do it there. Also check out for one final time GT Omega, our sponsors, our title sponsors for 2023 for season 34. And you can get 5% off all GT Omega products. Thanks, James, for joining me once again. Are we ready for round 3?
Oh, definitely so. I can't wait. Home and British Motorsport. What else needs to be said?
Exactly. We'll let you guys go. Make sure you join the commentary team of PCF1 at 7 o'clock UK time as they take to the Silverstone track. Who will be able to take advantage there? We'll have to wait and see. But for myself and James, see you next week at 8 PM for the British Grand Prix. Take care and bye-bye.
He's got the inside off here, he's through on the left hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the ghost is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.